Alright, maybe it'll work now. I've been having some difficulties getting this matchup to work. So I just thought I'd log in a little bit later, try again later. So I'm gonna try to get MicroFish versus Moldy Milkers going here, but I've had some issues for some reason. This last match has not been easy to get going here. I don't know why it's bugging, but it is. Alright, so we're gonna have a team full of tanks versus a team split with tanks and supports. Or with DPS and supports, I mean. So it's gonna be probably a little bit. I'm gonna guess a little bit one-sided here. We will see. Moldy Milkers, kind of like a gatekeeper team, seemingly. They might be top tier. I don't know though. They seem to just be below AI though. If I had to place them in a tier list of sorts. MicroFish near the lower end of the league here. They do have a win under their belt. They did beat out the Krusty Crushers. So they definitely aren't the worst team in the league. Are they the second worst team in the league, though? That remains to be seen. They might be third, depending on if my team is better than them or not. I don't know. It'd be really hard to tell until they actually play against each other. They're only going to get one game against each other, so that'll be the telltale sign. However, if MicroFish do manage to win this, that would make them look a lot better. Second game of the week for them, and final game of the week for all of us, and it looks like the match is finally going to work. Been having some issues with this one for whatever reason. I tried at the end of the last VOD to start this matchup immediately afterwards, and for some reason it was just bugging out on me. So then I went and played Monster Hunter World, and then I came back at like 5 or so. I tried again, then it didn't work, so then I got off, and now I'm back on, and now it seems like it's working. So I think we should be good, as long as there's no more hiccups. Some weird server issue happening. I'm wondering if a patch just went through or something. If it did, that could alter bots, overbots. I don't know when the next patch is happening. If it does happen soon, it could change up the bots meta. Don't know though. Alright, here we go. So 2 supports versus the 3 tank roster here. Very, very different squads we got here. Genji is going to get absolutely dumpstered on. Rough first attack here on Midtown for your MicroFish. Try to slow down the camera movements a little bit. Some of the VODs, it's probably a bit of a migraine to watch. Alright, here comes MicroFish. Genji's getting real deep in there. He's already half HP back there. However, Kiri's the first one to go down here. Can MicroFish turn this around? They do get ROM, so actually, wait, they could win this. Only 2 tanks left on the board here. However, Brig is going to fall, and now just the DPS versus 2 tanks, and they do deal with 1. They have a whole other body to get through here, though, and they do. So Genji and Tracer able to clutch up there against that very tanky roster. It's going to be really hard to evict this team from points. There's only a couple teams that seem to be able to deal with Moldy Milkers very well, and AI is one of those teams. They just have so much damage, the Torb and the Bastion and stuff. One of the harder teams to break through if you don't have damage. They do have quite a bit of damage once they get going though, so they may be able to deal with these tanks. This actually might be a pretty good matchup for MicroFish here. one of those teams that might be good in other stages, but with the Zen and the, funnily enough, both of the times where I've seen like cracks in Moldy Milkers have been from these teams that have like weird compositions, whether it be the 3 DPS comps or from AI, or the 2 DPS comps from MicroFIsh here. I think these are the types of comps that could break this, just because there's so much damage. And now that I'm watching it in live, I very much think MicroFIsh could actually win this against Moldy Milkers, despite me thinking overall Moldy Milkers has better odds of winning most of their matches. Wow, they are shredding these tanks. It's actually working really well for them. At first I thought this was going to be one-sided in favor of Moldy Milkers, but MicroFIsh actually having a very good push here on Hybrid. What I'm a little bit worried for, though, is their defense. How they're going to defend against all these tanks. We will see. Doom going in, instantly getting Brig. Very good push from Brig, or Doom. Gonna look at this Zen here. Genji's gonna go, he's half in the back line. He is gonna fall. And Hog is gonna hook the Zen. Finish off that kill. Tracer recalls, and she's down on the lower edge of the hill here. And Tracer will eventually go down, but they do have the checkpoint, so they are gonna have a bit of a spawn advantage on these. See a lot of fights here if Moldy Milkers stick around here. They're doing a very good job at holding at this checkpoint, though. Hopefully MicroFIsh get a little bit regrouped here after they fall. Looks like Zed will not fall. He'll get away with his life intact. Alright, here comes MicroFIsh. They're coming back in. Rom going down to half. Kiri's going to be the first one to fall here. Zen is going to be next, but tanks are left pretty low HP, so now Tracer and Genji are just going to have to go in and finish the job here. Brig actually is able to get the Doom. Now I just have the Hog left here. You're in a pretty good spot to push now, MicroFIsh. Hog, of course, character we saw last season make it all the way to the finals. He did not claim the crown, though. Who else was there? Oh, Zen. Hello. I'm in the middle of commentating Overbots. Sorry, I forgot I'm in the Monster Hunter channel. I like just swapped off. I got the Arc-Veiled set, and then I swapped off. But yeah, I gotta swap to the Overbots channel, or I could stay here if you don't mind. Oh yeah. Good night. Good night. Alright, well, Tim's gone. Alright, Genji goes down. Looks like MicroFIsh is able to disengage here a little bit. Surprise visit from Tim. Doob gets this in. Looks like Moldy Milkers are holding on to this corner here. Genji is able to deflect for the Kiri kill. He's going to back off, though. Dash's team looking very strong here. Ooh, Tracer. Good recall there. Keeping herself up. Zen won a championship last season. On MicroFIsh. He was part of the Krusty Crushers. That Torb Mauga Zen comp when the league was 3v3. Insanely strong composition. Now we get to see new compositions coming out here this season. Very different too. A lot of teams drafted completely different. think next season we're going to see a lot of priority on maybe DPS, not so much tanks. I don't know though. I think Bastion. So Hog and Mago went first this season, which is arguably like that's understandable. They were very impactful for their teams in 3v3. Now they're watching more 4v4. I think DPS are having even more impact. So I'm thinking for next season, a lot of the first picks are going to be DPS. I think it's going to be more like Bastion, Torb getting picked immediately. Oh my word. Okay, Moldy Milkers are holding out here a little bit. Let's see, actually. And then I think tanks, well, you can get away with running a team like this pretty well against most teams. I think some teams are going to be pretty good against this tanky setup. I.e. AI, insanely high damage team. This team, MicroFIsh, actually seems to be doing pretty well against the squad. I don't know if they're going to win this map, but they at least are pushing right now. They are in overtime, so see if any ults come out here. Here comes the Blade. Gonna get on this Rom, I think. He's gonna swing on him. So Rom is gonna go down. Tracer's staying on the point. Kiri getting very low. She does bounce back to her team. Genji's still up with the Zen. Do we see a trance here, I wonder? No trance coming out yet. Very passive. Lack of use of ults here from MicroFIsh. They are doing a very good job of actually touching this payload, though. Very good job. And they are actually going to maybe push this all the way in here if they just stay on the card. Big Transcendence. Layering support ults a little bit here, but I don't think it matters. They're going to be able to push this thing in. What a goated push by MicroFIsh. What if they're also, not going to lie, this is one of the most fun teams to watch in Overbots. Nehemiah made a very fun team to watch because it has two dive DPS with a Zen. Very, very fun to watch here. So, like I said, trades are going to still be available until Saturday. And I'm thinking of maybe making a little interesting trade. Making a little interesting trade here with MicroFIsh. I don't know if they're going to take it. I don't know if they're going to take the bait. I feel like it's a very low tier trade. But I'm wondering if they might want it. I'm going to let them know after this match, I think. I think it actually would make both of our teams better. We'll have to see though. We'll have to see if he takes my bait. Yeah. Okay, here they go. Rom is frying here. Holy. So they do take out the Kiri, but that's all they're gonna get. And it looks like Moldy Milkers are going to have a very good point A take here. Might have to do some testing for my idea for my trade to see if it actually makes both of our teams better. But I think I have a trade for him. MicroFIsh doing a very good job holding out here. This is one of the few matches where we've seen them kind of take control, and it's a bit odd to see because this team, Moldy Milkers, are no slouches. They've been 3-0ing teams. They've been contending with teams like AI. Of course, not beating AI, but the recall's coming out here. Here comes MicroFIsh. Doing a very good job of holding here, MicroFIsh. Oh, those ends getting kind of pushed all the way back here. Well, the Milkers are getting off the point a little bit. Solo ulting the Tracer is a wild move by Rom. That is going to use the whole ult up there, and Zen's going to get capped by this Doom. Very, very good hold coming out from MicroFIsh here. They have a minute and 50 seconds to hold out. They're doing very well against Moldy Milkers. I think this is one of the teams. This is one of the teams where they can actually like beat them. That's crazy. I mean, they beat Krusty Crushers earlier too. Been having some decent success here in Overbots. Here comes the Transcendence. They should win this fight here. MicroFIsh, I mean. It's one of those teams. They're very good. They are very good here. I'm thoroughly impressed by MicroFIsh right now. They are a 1-2 team currently, but if the series continues like this, they will be a 2-2 team. So eventually, the cards will fall. Some players on MicroFIsh are falling down here. Kiri, though, getting very low. She will survive, though. Only Genji up. Genji against 3 on point here. It looks like they will eventually take this second point. Unless they C9. Moldy Milkers. Okay, they're not going to C9 here. They are going to get that Zen. And now they're going to C9. Oh my gosh, not like that. Moldy Milkers. Moldy Milkers, no. Moldy Milkers, no. Okay, MicroFIsh up 1-0. Very strong showing from them. It's likely that they win the map anyways, but... oh my word, that's not the way you want to lose that. If you are Moldy Milkers, you had a very decent push through the first, and then second, you just were stumped. And I just kind of like sat here dumbfounded by what was happening in front of me. I would say it makes sense. It's a front-loaded damage team versus a front-loaded sustain team, and the damage is like gonna win if it's just shredding like the way it was. Okay, so we're going to yet another. Well, this is escort, so from hybrid to escort. It's gonna be a long series. It looks like. I'm wondering. So there are certain modes where I think this sustain comp will perform a lot better. But for right now, the damage of MicroFIsh is getting through to them. It's doing pretty well, actually. I'm really curious to see how well the Brig is performing in all of this. And this is what I'm thinking. I kind of want to trade MicroFIsh for Brig. My team has a lot of trouble staying alive at certain points, and I'm thinking of a trade for Sombra, because then they'll have a third dive DPS. Maybe they can just go crazy. Not sure how well that will work, but I do want to do some testing with it. With my team with the Brig and their team with the Sombra. Alright, here we go. Another push coming out here. It's 8:30. This match happening a little later. MicroFIsh leading the series 1-0. Unexpected result from that first map. MicroFIsh doing a really good job here. Just slowly dealing with these tanks. Does take a while to get through these tanks, but Tracer and Zen just putting in work. I think Brig's a little stuck back there. I think Brig could be a puzzle piece that I need. Unfortunately, Zen and Genji just getting collapsed on there. 4 MicroFIsh, and they are going to get held up a little bit here. Brig is going to fall. Tracer gonna yeet herself off the map. Unfortunately, just a famous move of Tracer's. MicroFIsh slowly working their way through these tanks. Takes a while to win these fights, but they do seem to get it done. Against Moldy Milkers, they just seem to take a while, just dance around them for a while. So I think they will complete this first checkpoint, but not before expending 3 minutes on the first point. You really don't want Moldy Milkers to make a touch here, because they're so tanky when they touch the point. It takes forever to evict them. Alright, so they do get this first checkpoint, which means now they have 3 minutes and 20 seconds. Kiri just immediately dead from Genji. I feel like MicroFish's dive could become even more lethal if I were to give him Sombra. But not sure if they're willing to part with Brig. So you'd have Sombra also hacking things, and then Genji's just like insanely good at getting in there. MicroFish is also famously one of those teams that doesn't trade, so I just want them to. I just want Brig. I feel like I need to make some sort of change, and I think Brig might be a better spot for my team than Sombra. Sombra just. I feel like on my team, since I don't have a lot of like diving here, it's just her going in and then dying alone. So I feel like she could be more beneficial on this team. Alright, here we go. I'm gonna come back to the cart. MicroFish, slowly but surely. They're gonna lose their Zen, unfortunately. However, Doom's gonna be the next to fall. Tracer is putting in so much work in this map, too. Tracer and Genji both. They know they just have to, like, dance around these tanks. However, Tracer does go down as I say that, as I'm gassing her up. Brig going to get back to that health pack. She is staying alive here. She's very low, and she will eventually fall. Tracer just getting hooked straight up. Harassment right there. I think Zen is not long for this world as he is. Oh, well, he actually does live. Brig able to get the Doom somehow. They're on this Rom. I think Rom is not long for this world. A lot of damage getting pumped into him currently. He does pop his ult, and now he's going to stay up for a lot longer, and that's not what you'd like to see if you're MicroFish here. So you are 1-0 in this match, but now this Route 66 is looking a lot more Moldy Milkers favored. I don't know if we're going to see a touch here. Do they have enough time? They don't. They don't. Tracer's not back yet. Well, maybe. Maybe they do. We'll see. See if we can get in there quick. Nope. They're not going to touch. So that is going to be where the cart ends, and that's not exactly ideal here. Not exactly ideal here for MicroFish. Very good hold coming out of Moldy Milkers. Let's see just how far up, because the payload does move backwards, so it is right. Or actually, I don't know if that's actually where it finished, or where the farthest distance was. It should change to their farthest distance once time runs out. Maybe like up here. Did they get to the bridge? How far up did they get? Were they like right here? Aha! They were. Look at that. Almost perfect. Almost. So that's where the golden box of victory is. Because the cart does move back, of course, and when it moves back, that means, or that's like not the actual victory condition. The victory condition is still right where it was at its peak. All right. So now, here's the test. They have 4 minutes. They want to take out as much time as humanly possible on A, because if they give them a ton of time on B, I don't think they have a chance of holding the same way on B. So we need to see a long hold here on A from MicroFIsh if they want to go up 2-0 in the series. However, it will be a 1-1 game if they do not get on that goal. Zen is popping off, and this is why he's a first-round pick. I loved Zen when he was on my squad. Trading him for Lucio wasn't exactly a great idea. I kind of just did that more because I wanted a team that could actually contend with Logi swords. Little did I know the team I would be making was more than a contender, and it just ended up dominating the Logi swords. I wanted a better match for the finals, but it seems like maybe if I had just made one trade, then it would have been closer. But instead, the double trade ended up screwing over Logi swords a little bit there. Tracer actually cooking. So this is exactly what we need to see from MicroFIsh. They are doing a very good spawn hold here. Zen has been absolutely frying. Tracer has been frying. MicroFIsh are playing like an actual squad right now. Zen has been popping out. This is like level 9 CPUs when they're at peak in Smash Bros. Because like sometimes they're really bad, and sometimes they're like insanely good for some reason. And right now, MicroFIsh is on the level of insanely good for some reason. Okay. Genji is probably going to die here. He's kind of just... He was a little bit broken. Brig is going to find the Kiri, but I don't think that's going to be enough. However, you do knock off 2 minutes before they get to move the payload at all. So that is a very good start for MicroFIsh if they want to win this map. Moldy Milkers, if you want to win this map, now you probably just have to win every point, or like every fight from here on out in first point, and then second point you'll have a little bit more leeway to get there. It's probably going to be a little bit easier once you get to second point. So you don't want to lose on this corner though, where you're about to be. You do not want to lose there, because if you lose there, you're going to have to wait for respawns. It's going to take like, you're going to get like 2 fights maybe. But here you have like, you just want to keep winning fights, and that's not a great start here if you're Moldy Milkers, losing your Kiri, but you do trade out the Zen. And now, okay, so now Moldy Milkers are pushing. They should be able to get this checkpoint in here. And now it's looking a little bit more rough for MicroFIsh. I think this is going to be a 1-1 series. So yeah, see, now there's 3 minutes and 30 seconds. So now it's a little bit more rough for MicroFIsh here. They need to win a lot of fights in a row. And that's not what you want to see, because now respawn advantage belongs to Moldy Milkers, and they do not have very far to go from here. So I'm thinking this is going to be a win in Moldy Milkers' court here. I'm thinking so. They have 3 minutes just to push it right here. Unless MicroFIsh come back and absolutely pop off, this is looking like it might even end before they touch. We'll see. They got 3 on card. They're full pushing. Gonna be close to see if Tracer can get this touch. I think she can get the contest. Just a matter of if her team can come follow up. Genji gets in there. However, Zen's the first to fall. MicroFIsh looking a little bit rough here. You are going to go 1-1 in this series. So we are tied at 1-1. Very good at Midtown for MicroFIsh. Very good Route 66 for Moldy Milkers. Tail. 2 different tails in that one. It is crazy how hot and cold this MicroFIsh team is. I must say they trade maps so much. I think it's just Zen. I think it's actually just Zen. The way Zen can just like fully carry this squad at times. He's an insanely good bot. Okay, we're going to be yet another hybrid, so we're gonna have 2 hybrids in this series. So the last hybrid did go the way for MicroFIsh. Sehr interessant hier. Our 3rd payload-related map in as many maps. Hybrid first map, escort second map, hybrid third map. We are getting the full usage out of payload today. We've not seen a whole lot of push maps this season. I feel like we've seen a lot of payload maps this season of overbots. I've seen quite a bit of deathmatch too. I do enjoy the new game mode. It's so chaotic, and it creates scenarios where some teams are just like way better on that map than any other map, and it just creates like these weird moments in series where it can really go any way. It feels like sometimes. No one's selecting maps anymore, or if they want to attack or defend, just because that was too much on our coaches. I didn't feel like doing that anymore because it just brought unfair advantages for people who are actually here. Alright, and that is, wow, a team wipe. Alright, Moldy Milkers are locking in a little bit here. After losing that first Midtown, they have decided to focus up. Even though this team does have 3 tanks, they still have a ton of damage. Because Kiri does a lot of damage, Hog does a lot of damage, Rom does a lot of damage, Doom does a lot of damage. They aren't lacking on damage. Brig is going to be the first to fall. However, Zen is just a lot of damage. So they do find the Kiri, but that's not going to be enough to push through this first point for MicroFIsh. Going a little bit different than Midtown here. Looking a little worse for MicroFIsh. Moldy Milkers looking pretty firmly in control on this hybrid. Genji is pretty deep in there. He's probably going to fall. Well, they fleck guts up. However, Zen falling first, never a good sign. You do lose that Discord orb. And wow, Moldy Milkers are just fully rubbing this one in. MicroFIsh will get about 3 more attempts, I'm gonna guess. So I don't really know for sure. Genji's really feeding right now. He is gonna die for his hubris. He goes in way too deep sometimes. However, yeah, Kiri, the usual suspect for death on the side of Moldy Milkers. As usual, the support will normally go down in every fight just because of how hard focused supports are in overbots. But that's all they're going to end up getting. I can't wait until Overwatch releases the rest of the heroes as bots. I don't know if they are ever going to. Because there are some bots that are just like super hard to program, like a Pharah bot and stuff. Oh, and that is going to be, wow, oh boy. Yeah, MicroFIsh is getting really cooked on this map here. So as you can see, overbots, even hybrid to hybrid, completely different stories between the same 2 comps. The first hybrid went pretty handily in the way of MicroFIsh, but now on this Hollywood is looking a lot more favorable for Moldy Milkers here. They do have a lot of ults. They do get the Kiri immediately. That's a good start. However, unfortunately, they drop 2 after taking out the Kiri. So now they're going to get one more fight. One more fight. They do have all their ults. So does the other team, though. 2 4 stacks of ults. But if they do ever release all of the characters into overbots, we can have 5-player rosters and then we can we could either implement 2-2 rules, or we could just keep the deathmatch tanks on and continue doing what we're doing. Oh my word. Brig able to find Kiri, but this is going to be a full hold. Holy. No ultimates expended on either side here. It doesn't seem like anyone cares to use them. Very honorable, actually, that no one decided to use the ults. But, and that's going to be it for this first round of Hollywood and MicroFish. Looking a bit stunned here. After that Route 66 just not going in their favor, and they've been collapsing here on Hollywood. Still a 1-1 game. So even if you drop this, it will just be 2-1, and you will have another opportunity on the next map. Is more than likely, so it's either a draw now or a victory for Moldy Milkers. So you got to feel good about that if you are on that side. On the opposite hand, you have to make a 4-minute hold to draw and send this to a 0 game. So I don't know if that's going to happen. Probably won't. We have not yet seen a draw in Overbots. Would be surprising if this is the first one we see. It could happen though. Entirely plausible. Be a lot on the Zen just frying some tank just discording it and then shredding it with the rest of his team. Matchup is bonkers. MicroFish and Moldy Milkers giving us a good match here. We will see another one of these two later in the season. They are in the same division, so it's kind of a fun matchup to watch. I've been enjoying this one. Not quite like the 3-0s we've witnessed earlier, and it's a little odd in how these teams are matching up with each other. It's like some maps that are like really going in favor of one team and then really going in favor of the other one. Okay. Kiri's probably going to fall here. She gets very low. Actually, she does escape with her. Oh, no, she will die. But you cannot give up a tick, so you really have to shred these tanks. And they're doing just that. Wow. MicroFish. MicroFish able to hold on once and see. This is the... So this could... They do get a lot of attacks, so I got to keep that in mind. But this is very, very drawable. It'd be interesting to see our first draw. I mean, this series is going to go more than, well, actually no, it doesn't mean it's going to go more than 5 maps, unless it's 2-2 at some point. I spoke too soon. That is going to be Moldy Milkers taking the map there. Took them one push to get, but they did. MicroFish just struggling on the offense there. I think a lot of that had to do with Genji just kind of like dashing in, getting himself killed on repeat. Felt a little bit like that at times. However, it's still 2-1. It's definitely not over if you are AI, or not AI, excuse me, MicroFish. Watch point Jibby. So we're going hybrid, escort, hybrid, escort in this one. Alright, same compositions, same team will be defending first, as every time. Moldy Milkers on defense first, and MicroFish on offense first. Will be every payload map in this series, just kind of how it works. I guess we could swap sides, but yeah, that's that doesn't matter. This is fine. Alrighty, so here comes the good old fishing Moldy Milkers for yet another defense of a payload map. See if MicroFish can do a similar story to what happened to themselves, because despite winning the first hybrid map, they got dunked on in the second one. So let's see if they can dunk on them in the map that they just previously got dumped at, the map type anyways. So they got dunked on in Route 66. Let's see if they can turn it around on Watchpoint and give us a different escort map than the one we saw earlier. Alright, here we go. They're all coming off the high ground here. Brig is leading the charge. Genji immediately gets hooked. Zen is going to go down very fast. Kiri is going to get traded, though. And Hog's getting pretty low, but Genji and Tracer are probably going to die very quickly here, and they do. Okay, 3 tanks remain on the side of Moldy Milkers. I don't think Kiri's going to be back in time for this next fight. She should take a while to get here, so I think that MicroFIsh have a pretty good chance here at pushing out of the spawn camp. Doom immediately cooked. Zen getting on this rum. They will trade a Omnic for Omnic. Kiri is about half on cart here. She will eventually go down, however, now it's only Genji and Hog. I think Genji could actually win this. He's gonna go back into spawn a little bit. Zen's coming out. Oh boy, Zen. Let's get the Discord off. And he will drop him, so good work by Zen and Genji. Master and student working together to shred these tanky bodies off the point. And MicroFIsh will begin pushing the payload now. Just takes so long to evict these big old bodies off the point. So many tanks on the side of Moldy Milkers. It is a chore to beat this team. So much damage on the side of MicroFIsh too, with the Zen orbs and the Tracer and the Genji. All right, Zen is gonna go down immediately. However, Kiri's traded out. Ooh, Tracer's gonna get hooked. However, she does have recall. Genji's gonna be down next, and that's gonna call for a disengage from MicroFIsh. It's gonna be a little bit tough here to get something started now. You're gonna need to pop some of these ults. We have seen these ults been put on hold. Excuse me. Why can't I freaking talk? Okay. Like I said, we are going to need to see some of these ults come out on the side of MicroFIsh. Genji just killing himself again, but Doom is traded out. Zen pushed up a little too far. He's following his student into battle fearlessly. If MicroFIsh can just pop some of these ults, I think they have a pretty good chance of pushing through here on this escort. It's going to be a slog to fight, but it is entirely possible that they could beat Moldy Milkers. Kiri getting discorded. She is going to be able to get out of there alive using her ROM as a TP point. Once again, she does the same thing. Doom alone in a room with Brig. Don't know if I want to be Brig in this scenario. She does live. Instead, it is Genji that's going to go down, and suddenly MicroFIsh looks so very strong on Midtown, but now these last 3 maps have been anything but strong from them. Unfortunately for this team. Zen has been putting in work, I'd say Genji has been feeding a little bit. I mean, he's been doing okay on this map, but on okay, Kiri's the first one to fall here. MicroFIsh giving themselves a chance here. Here comes the trance. They just need to stay on this payload. They are on the cart. Hopefully Zen stays on the cart. Hog's on the cart, so that's going to help them think about it. Doom's going to get on the cart here. You cannot get off this thing. They are going to be able to clean that up. However, here comes the Rommel, and this is not exactly ideal. Genji eventually going to fall. They are going to kite this ult out eventually, but no one's touching. MicroFIsh gets off the point. Yet another C9, and that's probably where the series is going to end. It's probably going to be a 3-1. Midtown looks so promising for this MicroFIsh squad, but ever since then, they've just been falling apart. They've been floundering a little bit on these payload maps. Like I said, Midtown went really well for them. But if you can't push past the first point, it's more than likely you're going to lose. We'd have to see a counter full hold And that's difficult to pull off. Once the momentum is swung so far in Moldy Milker's favor, it's going to be difficult to pull it back here. They do flounder a little bit when Genji just dashes in and gets himself killed. Makes for a couple issues. It's very difficult to circumvent 3 tanks CCing your team, though. I do understand that can be oppressive. That's what Goats was all about. 3 tanks up in your junk. I'm gonna have to see some miracle hold here by MicroFIsh. 3 back-to-back payload maps. Maybe not what you want to see. Maybe some other maps would have been better for you. You never know. Maybe these payload maps gave you the best chance at winning. We don't know. We'll have to see in the next series. I'm very interested in the next series between these 2 teams, and I think if MicroFIsh makes a trade with me, I think they would have like this weird composition that would actually work pretty well at times. I'm not sure if it would always work well though. I'd have to do some testing. Brig gets ran over. And Zen does get he does pick the Kiri, but he's gonna fall himself. And that is 3 alive for Moldy Milkers, and all they gotta do is push the payload right here to claim their prize of victory and give me the go-ahead to go play Monster Hunter Wilds. What was looking like it was going to be a banger of a series turned out to be a 3-1 in a very dominant fashion for Moldy Milkers, despite that first map looking really dominant for MicroFIsh. And yeah, that is unfortunately going to be the end here for MicroFIsh, unless they don't push the payload. There's always a chance they just don't push the payload. They finally do get on it. However, MicroFIsh are respawned. They might be able to get a touch here. Genji's gonna come in. He's gonna get a touch, I think. If he just, yep, he's going for it. We are gonna need to see a miracle hold here. If they win a fight here, you just can't see 9 either. That's the main issue. Zen is going to be the first to fall, and I don't think that's a good sign for MicroFIsh. Oh, they're getting off the payload. And Hog is going to push that in. That is going to be it. 3-1 to Moldy Milkers. Thanks for watching today. That was all of the matches. This one, almost an hour long, despite being a 3-1. Good matchup, though. Fun until you kind of got one-sided there at the end. Anyways, see ya next week.